Alright, so I've decided I'm going to try one thing here. Try and get that key out of there. You can see, that actually is the tumblers right there on the top. But if you look in there, it's really hard to see. The broken piece of key is way back in there. So this here is a kind of a spring that pushes the key up against the tumblers, which are on this side here. So what I'm going to try to do is take this piece out, this metal piece that's right here in the center. We're going to try and take that out with that spring, and then this kind of metal piece here that pushes against the key. And if I do that, I'm thinking I might be able to get something thin, like one of my dental picks or something, inside the key, and then push the key out. Hopefully it's not jammed in there too hard, although I have a funny feeling it is. But we're going to see what we can do. And the problem is these have kind of been pounded in. So in order to get this off, I'm going to have to like push this out so that I can pop this plate off so that I can pull the spring out. I don't know if this is going to work, but if it doesn't, my only other option is to buy a new lock cylinder. So who cares? At this point in time, if I destroy it, I destroy it, right? So it doesn't really matter. So we're going to go for it, and we'll see what happens. Alright, so being really slow and careful with the screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, I just kind of push these little nubs back. So I hammered it this way. And now the little plate that was there came off. Let's put that in a magnet. And now, take this spring out. Put that in there. And should be able to get this piece out here. And let's take a look what's inside here. I don't know if I can get to anything there. It's kind of hard to see. I'll lift this up. We'll stick one of my little dental tools in there. Let's see if we can push the remnant of the key out. I think I can see it in there, so you can kind of see a glint just a little bit right there, closest to the bottom of the screen down inside. Let's see if we can get that out. Alright, so with some gentle prying, looks like we've got the bottom of the key out. So let's see if we can get it out here. So go ahead, I'll hold it. Just grab it real carefully. Oh, got it. Yeah, look at that. And that is what has been causing us all sorts of problems. I don't know.
Looks like the tumblers are fine.
Well, the tumbler, who knows if the tumblers are fine. What we're going to do now is reassemble this sucker with the spring and everything back into place. Here, we're going to hammer these things back down so that that plate stays in place. And then we'll go get the spare key for this, and let's test it and see if the cylinder survived all this bruising and beating that it's basically been gotten over the years as people have tried to figure this out. Okay, so now that we've got this key out, let's see if we can have this cylinder work, or at least temporarily for us. So here's the original key. You can see that. And then I have a whole bunch of extra keys here. I don't know what they were for, but a lot of them are not the same. You can see like that's not the same. Or it's really worn down. But I think we have a winner here with this one. This one looks the same. I mean, it's definitely a copy, but it looks like it has all the right things. So we're gonna see if this works. Hopefully it does. Hopefully I didn't go through all of this and only had one key that would fit. But I'm pretty sure this is it. This is the spare key. And we'll just see what happens here. So, let's go and test it. And it does not want to go. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe it was the wrong key. I've got another key here. Let's see if this is the right one. Let's see which way. All right, it goes down. it doesn't want to go in. That's it.
Yes.
He put the wrong key in. So this is the ignition key. So that's why it was like that, is because he put the wrong key in, and now we've got the right key. Hot dog. So I don't know what this key went to. Maybe the trunk? Not sure. But that's what happened, is the previous owner put the wrong key in, and then when he tried to turn it, I don't know, how did he snap it off? I don't know. That's just stupid. Maybe he did it on purpose. Maybe it was one of those like spiteful things like, I'm going to sell you my car, but you won't be able to drive it. I don't know. Maybe he lost it in a bet. I don't know. But that's why I got this thing for a real steal. All right, let's put it all back together again. And we got some new ignition parts and spark plugs and stuff we're going to put in. And maybe this engine will actually start. We'll see. How about that? Alright, so I think I have made a miscalculation, an error that is going to cost me the cylinder unless I can figure something out. So I did a little bit more research, loosely, I guess, and I took a look at my spare set of keys here. So I had all these keys, and I'm thinking these are for this steering column. And yet none of them fit in there, or else I'd just swap the cylinders. But anyway, so I was looking at this. This is the broken key. I went over to my spare set, and I matched them up. If I look at the broken key, that one matches up with this key here. So when you take a look at the broken piece, you can kind of see there. That matches up really nicely, right? So if I take this key and I go over and I use it, oh, look at that. This key, which is the duplicate of the one that was in the ignition switch, is for the door. This key should be my ignition key. So when we were testing out the lock cylinder, we were using the wrong key. And then what happened is it pushed the center of the cylinder out, and this little guy popped out. And now, this won't work at all. So I think that came out of this section here. So I'm going to try and take this apart and see if I can find out where that little doodad is missing from. Unfortunately enough, I've never taken these guys apart again. But I'm thinking the problem was I wasn't being slow enough. I had the wrong key in the lock. I was assuming that they were using the right key and just put it in upside down, because it was in upside down. But they weren't using the right key. They were using the door key, and it snapped off. This was the right key for this ignition cylinder. And so now, because I wasn't paying attention or thinking, I'm in trouble. But maybe I should just get a new cylinder anyway. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. But it's a puzzle, and I like puzzles, and I like to figure them out. So I'm going to pull this apart. I'm going to go put this in a vise. I'm going to tap these little pieces here. I'm going to open those up, bend those back, see if I can get this plate out, and then see what I can see with the tumblers on the inside. I bet you there's a bunch of springs, and they'll probably pop out over everywhere, and then this cylinder's dead anyway. But you know what? It's worth a try, because what's my alternative? Buying a new cylinder. So who cares? I'm going to buy a new cylinder anyway. So just going to see what's up here. We're going to go for it, and we'll see what we can do. So really carefully, I've tapped these little tabs here in, and this one's a little bit more difficult right here, but with a little bit more persuasion, I think I'll be able to get it out. I'm not going to use the camera when I pop this thing open, because I'm expecting there's going to be springs in there and everything, and I want to have two hands to do it really easily. And I don't have a tripod set up right now in my garage, but hopefully we'll be able to do this really easily, and then we'll see where that little part came from. And maybe if I figure out where that part came from, that little cylinder, hopefully it's under here, maybe I'll be able to pop it back in, and we'll be set to go. I don't know, maybe not. We'll see. Again, you know, and some people might just say, this is stupid, you know, like, why are you doing this? Just buy a new cylinder. you got a point. I can't argue about that really. I guess it is kind of a waste of time. But at the same time, I kind of like the puzzle. I like the idea that I could use the same exact thing that's in my car, like just not have to buy something new, because that's $60 I can put towards, I don't know, engine parts or whatever. I know it's not a lot of money, but at the same time, every little bit counts, right? So we're going to try this. Let's see what happens. All right, so that little plate came off quite nicely. And sure enough, there's 5 little pins in there, and one is missing, and a little piece of a spring. So that popped out earlier. I was like, oh, dang it, like, it means I'm done. Because it popped out, and I didn't see where the spring was. And I was kind of like, I am toast. Never mind. And then, literally, just looked to the left. Look what was right next to it. Not kidding you. I've, like, walked around this space for, like, the last 15 minutes, and I didn't even step on it. There's the spring. So we're going to put those 2 back in there, and maybe this is actually going to work. I can't believe it. That would be really cool. Quite a victory. And look at that. Tell you what, somebody upstairs really likes me, because there's no way I should have seen that or found it or not kicked it across the driveway or anything like that. So let's do this. Let's put it back together. Hammer these little pin thingamajiggies back so we can put the plate back on there, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so update on this. Apparently, when we were messing around, this cylinder, or the back part of the cylinder, slid out, and then I lost a bunch of the tumblers and stuff. Now, I found them all, but getting them back in the right combination has been rather difficult. So I'm still figuring it out. I've also started to break part of the tabs that keeps that back plate on. So I might just have killed this lock cylinder anyway through my stupidity, just not paying attention. This came out and it spun 180 degrees, and so they all fell out onto the ground. It took a lot to find them, but we found them. So now trying to figure out the combination of like what the tumblers inside and then these pins that are on the top, and like which ones go where, has actually been really difficult. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. Anyway, but I found them all, so if I play with a little bit more, maybe I'll be able to get it. But we did figure out which key actually worked, and I figured out that the key that was snapped, this key, belongs to the door, and that this key is the ignition. So this is the one that actually works, and luckily enough, I got a spare set. So if I can make this work, then maybe I've got a good lock cylinder anyway, but you can see it's really busted up because of having to hammer this open here. So it might not even be worth it. I'm going to go see how much these things cost, and I give myself a 50-50 chance of just buying a new lock cylinder, especially if it's like 30 or 40 or 50 bucks. It's just probably not even worth it. But anyway, I had success, and then it slipped through my grasp. So just maybe learn from me. If you're ever playing with these lock cylinders, don't let this back piece slide out. If you got the right key in there, as you slide it, or as you turn it, it'll also allow it to push out the back, and then things can fall everywhere. So we don't want to do that. But it was success. It was success. I did actually fix it, and I did actually get the key out of there, so that was a success. But with my stupidity, I lost it. So, I don't know. 50% success, 50% failure? I don't know. I don't know how you qualify that, but either way, it wasn't exactly what we wanted it to be. But it worked. So I'll figure that out. We'll put the whole steering column back together again. All right, so I brought this inside to just take a look at it and work on it some more. And I got it all together again, and I did actually get the key working in it. I found the right key, and I got confused for a little while, but I got it all set. But in the end, I just decided to buy a new lock. This front piece here that you actually like use to turn the key and turn the car on, I couldn't find that. And I thought I had taken it off, but then I was starting to think about it, and I realized, you know what, I don't think it was ever with the car. So because of that, and then also because these pieces of metal here have just gotten so beat up, I started to try and hammer them back in there to put this plate back on there, and they just started to split and come apart You can kind of see how that one's broken there. So I just decided to order a new lock cylinder, and hopefully it comes pretty soon, and we'll be able to kind of get it put on the Cuda and see what happens from there. But I learned a lot from taking this thing apart, and was actually able to get all the tumblers readjusted and figured out so that I could actually use the right key. But and in the end, it didn't really matter. It just got too beat up, and missing that front piece, I think that I just decided it probably wasn't worth it. So while I did spend a lot of time on this, you know, it's probably worth it. I gained a little bit of knowledge, and hopefully, you know, hopefully it'll help someone maybe who's looking at the idea of taking apart a cylinder. But the short end of this is, if you don't have the time, or if you have a good sense of how they work, or whatever, and you just want to go buy a new cylinder, that's definitely the easier option. So let's go order it, and hopefully it comes in fast.